Courtney Barriger. How are you?
Excellent. How are you, Rich?
I'm doing all right. I appreciate you coming on here and sharing your story with the creative community. You've done quite a few things. I'm a huge fashion nut, so I'm looking forward to having this conversation.
Super. Well, I have a lot to talk about when it comes to the fashion world.
Yeah. Let me give a brief introduction here for you, for the audience, so they get a feel for who you are before we dive in. You're an author of Refashion Workshop, The Planet Healing Mindset, a guidebook blending sustainability, fashion, and mindset shift. You're the co-founder of eco-fashion label Holding Court, which has been featured in Vanity Fair and GQ and has won awards such as the Sustainability Award at iHollywood Film Festival. You're the host and producer of the podcast Information Hub Environmental Style Now, focusing on sustainable and ethical fashion with expert guests. You're a published writer and investigative storyteller, including contributions about culture and power dynamics in the LA Times, and honored as the future of fashion by the UN nonprofit Fashion Fights Poverty. You're recognized in media and film with multiple awards. One, as we've already said, winner of the High Hollywood Film Festival Sustainability Award, Best Picture of Boca Film Festival, Best Director 4K Fashion Film Festival, and winner of America's It Girl. That was a very cool show.
That no one ever saw.
Well, I saw it, so, or at least clips here and there.
Crazy.
Yeah. So I always go all the way back to the very beginning with every guest, and that is where were you born and what was life like as a kid for Courtney?
Wow. Well, I was born in upstate New York,
Okay.
right at the edge of fall. So it was in October. And it was this tiny little town called Brockport, Worn Horse Town. I mean, I actually visited last summer and it really was just a couple of blocks of, a gas station, a little general store.
Yeah.
And I was only there for 2 years, and we moved down to Florida.
Okay.
And family of seven, so five
Oh, wow.
siblings, and I'm second to the last, so I'm the princess. And we were all homeschooled,
Really? Okay.
all five of us in Northeast Florida, Jacksonville.
Jacksonville. Home of the Gators.
Go Gators.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Growing up was, well, it was different. I mean, we were homeschooled, so right out of the gates, it was, different than most of America's culture.
Right.
Super, super sheltered. So
Okay.
I was born in a household with no television, with no magazines. We were
Mm,
allowed to read as much as we wanted to. So we had a big library. And then I would go over to my aunt and uncle's house, and they had like camcorders and paintings and all the artsy kind of weird stuff over there. So I'd be like, let's
yeah.
go over to Aunt Karen's house. We'd watch movies and just like really dig into like pop culture
Right.
and listen to the radio and all that kind of stuff. So, I mean, I wasn't a total homeschool weirdo. I mean, I definitely was. Like, I was pretty quiet, pretty afraid of the world. Um,
Okay.
but in many ways, it really kind of nurtured a cool creative place for me that, I was allowed to, I mean, I was done with school by 11:30 in the morning. So the rest of the day was
Nice.
mine.
Yeah.
Um, and I would pretend like I was in the world. So, oh, I'm going to be today I'm a movie star. Oh, I'm going to pretend like today I'm a fabulous painter. And I just remember having all these toys that had all these adventures, like big imagination, small world kind of
Uh,
thing. And and yeah, definitely I grew into it.
Very cool. Very cool. What did your parents do work-wise at that point in time?
My mom was a stay at home, so
Okay.
she was with us.
Yeah.
And my dad was he worked for like a copy machine company, so it was called Kodak.
Oh,
And
okay. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah, they had a really big headquarters in New York at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
we just got transferred to Jacksonville, and that's how we kind of ended up in the South.
Got you. Got you. Kodak. So was he selling copiers or was he working as an executive?
He was working tech in the beginning, so he was fixing them,
Okay.
and then he was selling them, and then he was managing the company, and he's actually retiring this year from the same company he's worked at pretty much his whole life. So now he's like top manager in the Southeast division. It was sold to another company, Konica Minolta. It's Japanese,
Oh,
but super like, yeah, like I have this traditional family in that way. Like my dad's had the same job. My parents are still together. It's and it does create this really cool sense of safety that I've
yeah,
always
for
had.
sure.
Yeah, I've always had it.
Nice. Nice. How about grandparents? Did you see your grandparents very much on either side as you were growing up?
Mostly my mom's parents because they were in Jacksonville as well in the countryside.
All right.
And they were separate, but her mom had 100 acres of woods.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, so we would go out there as much as we could, go exploring and building forts and camping out and um, just listening to like the wind rustle through the countryside. It's just
Yeah.
this beautiful, beautiful place. And they had all sorts of animals, cows, chickens, goats, um, crops, watermelons and corn and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
So being a homeschool kid, that's what we do. We go out to the farm and, really learn about plants and like hands-on,
Yeah.
um, and then make jams and go to the country fair.
Nice. Very cool. I can relate in a way to all of that. Both sides of my family's from East Tennessee. So my mom's parents, they had a farm, grew crops, different things like that, tobacco, hay, all that kind of stuff. So we'd take vacations through the summer and then holidays. I'll go back down there. Um, it was just me, my parents up here by ourselves kind of for first 9 years of my life. And then I had my little sister at that point. But yeah, all our family's from down there. So I understand what that southern farm lifestyle is like.
Isn't it
Um,
nice?
yeah, it very much always felt like home rather than here in Metro Detroit. We're right now about 25 minutes northeast of Detroit, just kind of right on the water, Lake St. Clair. So,
Is it already cold up there?
oh my gosh, yes, horrible. A week ago, we already had a first snowfall. It was like 4 inches last weekend.
Oh, that's actually a lot. 4 inches is
Yeah,
decent.
yeah. And ironically, my little sister lives in uh, Western New York, Belmont area, which is about an hour down from Buffalo.
Yeah.
So I'm familiar with that area of the country as well. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Buffalo's a cool spot too.
yeah,
My parents lived there too for a little while.
did they? Okay, okay. How about your brothers and sisters? Any of them have that creative juice flowing through 'em?
I think everyone does in one form or another. I'm the only one that pursued it professionally.
Okay,
And I think that was just because maybe coming from such a big group of people, I just wanted to do something different. Pretty much half the family went into medicine, and the other half just kind of figured it out.
okay,
Um, but everyone was talented in one way or another. I think I was just more committed and curious. Um, Also, I got discovered when I was 16, and that made such a big, I mean, it changed my whole life. you know.
Yeah.
Um, I went to public school as a freshman.
Okay.
And when I was there, I met this kid in class. He literally like took my seat. I was like, dude, who are you? You're a new kid, get out of my chair.
Right.
Uh, but he was kind of cute. And I'm like, okay, what's your name? What's up? And, I got to know him a little bit. And he was in the music scene in Jacksonville and was like, oh my God, this band, they're so cool. They're making a music video for MTV. It's going to be crazy.
Nice.
They got a show this weekend. Like, you should come with me. So, and like I was coming from like such a Christian family, and they're like, "Don't go to this show." Like, no, we don't really. My dad's like, "Let her go. Like, go check it out. I'll go live a little bit."
Yeah.
And I went to the rock show. Their music was so explicit and really not good, but I was there for the scene. Like, it's just like so much life. And
Right.
um, anyway, when I was there, the guys in the band, uh, took one look at me and they're like, "What are you doing this weekend? Can you be in our music video?
Yeah.
Because we need a lead girl and you look like one. You want to do it?" And I
Yeah.
was like, yeah, sure. I mean, can I say no? It's like an MTV music video. And then, by the time summer was coming around, it was on TV and I was on TV. All the school knew it. I feel like everyone I met knew it. It was so strange. Um,
Nice. That band wasn't Limp Bizkit, was it?
no,
Okay.
no, that would have been much cooler. No, they're a band called Start Trouble. They're not even around
Star Trek.
anymore.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Right on. Again, I can relate in terms of the Christian environment. I went to public school up until third grade, and at third grade, they were putting me into fourth grade for half of the day, because of my creative abilities, and they were recognizing that early on. And the next year, they were going to have me go for a half a day to the high school, in this program called Project Plus. Um, but at that point, my parents had been going to this church regularly, and the church was about to open their own private school. So my parents pulled me out of public school and decided I needed to go to the Christian school. Um, and my mom was going to end up being a teacher so she could help pay for the schooling, um, because otherwise we wouldn't have been able to afford to do that. But she didn't want me to continue on in public school, um, because of the, you know, woes of what possibly could end up being uh, in those types of environments. So I understand that a little bit. And then ultimately ended up going to Pensacola Christian in Florida for college, for 2 years for graphic design. So I'm familiar with that environment and what that life is like. And also, too, the constraints of it versus when you have this creativity that's inside of you that wants to come out and it doesn't always fit into that world.
Yeah.
Easily.
Yeah. I mean, we weren't allowed to read Harry Potter or, any of the kind of magical, even though we could, Lord of the Rings was on there, of course, because Tolkien was
Mhm.
a Christian and a Christian philosopher, but nothing that had like witchcraft or
Right.
magic and anything. But that's of course exactly what I wanted to read. And exactly the kind of art that I was making. I was making a comic book when I was 10, and it was like all these kind of superhero types. And my mom found it. She's like, Courtney, what is
What
this?
is this? Yeah.
Do they have powers? Where do they get their powers? Like, what do you mean, where do they get their powers? Like from the devil? Like, what are you asking me? Like,
For sure. For sure.
what is this conversation we're having? Um,
That's
yeah,
interesting. You're doing that at 10.
yeah,
Was
maybe even younger. I was
okay.
doing, I wrote my first screenplay when I was probably 9.
Really?
Yeah.
Holy cow. Holy cow. Was that spurred on from the things that you would see at your aunt's house?
Yeah, it was
Okay.
because we had they just had every toy that like an adult, like it was just literally they had like a Halloween house. So there were costumes everywhere and like they made furniture and they made all sorts like they were kind of, they still kind of are like amazing creative uh Florida type people. I can't even explain the kind of art that they make, um but it was a free for all. We could do whatever we wanted.
Yeah.
So I would stay the night there and wake up in the morning, and the first thing I wanted to do was make a movie. Like, we're going to make a movie. That's what we're doing this weekend. What, what are we going to make a movie about? Okay. So then we all kind of like get together and like come up with ideas. Okay, well, now this is going to be like she's haunted, or maybe this is a news clip and they're selling a brand new device or whatever, and we would just take it and spend the entire weekend filming, and I mean building sets, writing
Nice.
scripts, editing, acting out all the characters, laughing our asses off, and then pretending like it never happened, even though my aunt and uncle would see us going around. And to my horror and embarrassment, last summer, my aunt and uncle were going through all of their footage and archiving it. And they found everything. I mean, they found every single skit
Oh,
that,
wow.
that we ever made and put them together to like make a master.
Yeah.
And they are so fun. Like they called me on FaceTime to like, and they were laughing their asses off because we made a lot of comedies. I mean, and we were
Okay.
roasting. We would roast people that we knew,
Yeah.
um, thinking that no one was ever going to see it. And of course, like the footage is just laying around. But now they're in on the joke and like absolutely like admiring and loving what we were doing and showing our nephews and my cousin's kids these
Yeah.
videos. And yeah, I got to show my nephews a bunch of the videos. They were laughing too. I'm like, oh, this is not bad for a couple of 10-year-olds. Not bad.
That's very cool. That's very cool. Once you got into high school and you got discovered, so to speak, and the opportunity to be in this music video, did that lead into more opportunity at that point?
No, I mean, not really. There wasn't a lot going on in Northeast Florida. I mean, it's
Okay.
just not really a place for production. At that time, that's what I wanted to do, of course. Like, well, now I'm going to be an actor and I'm going to go straight to Hollywood. And some people that I know actually did it. And they were this girl, God, what's her name? I can't think of her name right now. She ended up in the Twilight series, but
Okay.
she was in my grade too, or one grade over. But no, pretty much what ended up happening is that I was kind of like too scared to go and explore that by myself. I mean, I wasn't ready.
Right.
Um, I ended up just kind of pursuing some of the quieter arts. So I was still writing, I was still painting. I got into modeling because there was modeling in
Yeah.
Northeast Florida, and
Yep.
design. The only thing that wasn't there was film. Everything else was there.
Yeah.
So I just kind of plugged in into different places there and got busy. And
Okay.
yeah, I mean, the most that I did, a couple of movies came through that I was on, some HBO movies, and I did actually pursue that group. It was a movie called Recount, and I was an extra in it, but I ended up working on the film set and then moving out to California for a summer with a bunch of the people that I met. So I was finding my way, kind of little by little as,
Yeah.
with connections, trying to make it happen.
Right. Did you start modeling right around the same time that you did the first music video? Or did that come a little bit later after as
It
you got
came,
older in high
yeah,
school?
it came later. It definitely
Okay.
came later.
So
Yeah,
did you do any theater and acting and stuff in high school?
yeah, yep.
Okay. And how did you find that in terms of the ability to express?
I was not very good. I wasn't. I don't think I was a good theater actor at all.
Okay.
Because with on camera, you get a chance to mess up over and over again.
Right.
And then you can clip together your best 3 seconds, 4 seconds, 5 seconds to make it look fantastic. But
Right.
in theater, you have to just go and go nonstop and just be on the whole time. And I didn't have, at the time, I didn't have that in me at all, not even close.
Yeah.
Um, and that was pretty hard to admit. I could tell. I'd be like, I get roles, of course, but they wouldn't be the lead. I wouldn't get the lead.
Right.
I would get like a narrator or something that doesn't require a lot of acting actually.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I could stand on the side and memorize a whole script and like say it. But the other kids were so much more like silly, and I couldn't let go as much back then.
You weren't as animated as they were.
Yeah, or like trust the process, because like I could trust the process with my small group of family and like neighbors that we all knew exactly who we were and like silly and like all of that. I could trust that group.
Yeah.
But in high school, I didn't know how to fit into this bizarre social structure that is public school in
Right.
America.
Yes.
And I really wanted to be cool. Like I did. It's sad to admit. I never figured it out. But but I really
I don't know. I might beg to differ on that. You seem pretty cool to me right now. So,
yeah, I wanted to be, one of the cool kids. And the cool kids weren't in theater,
mm, yeah.
the cool kids weren't doing that.
Right. Right. Did any of your teachers recognize this creative flair that you had at this point in time and maybe encourage you to look at that as a potential career option?
I had a couple teachers in high school that singled me out. And actually, well, and this is true at my high school, um, junior year, we didn't have any advanced placement programs for the arts.
Hmm.
And my art teacher at the end of my junior year was like, Courtney, if you apply for your senior year, you will be the first student in our entire high school, in the history of our high school, to do this. And you're going to
What?
get the full grant that comes with it. And I think that you should do it. So, yeah, actually, I did get recognized, which was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And again, I actually don't think I was the most talented fine artist in my school. I think that I had the tenacity to finish what I start,
Okay. Yeah.
and I have like really good focus. I really do. If I want something, like I will go all of the way to get it. And
Yeah.
a lot of kids that have talent, um, unfortunately, don't have the follow through. And
Right.
so when teachers want to take a risk, they're not just looking for pure talent; they're looking for like the full package.
Yeah.
Because if they do
Consistency.
get that, yeah, consistency. Because if they do get that grant and then that kid doesn't even finish,
Right.
chances are they're not going to get it again.
Yeah.
Um, so in some ways, that's why I got picked. I'm 100% sure. Because there were definitely better kids. Like I saw some talent happening that really got overlooked.
Mm,
But yeah, I follow through.
very cool. Very cool. And did after the end of that year of being in that program, did you think that that's something you wanted to do going off to college potentially, was to study fine art?
Ah, I still don't know what I want to do.
I think many created. have that as a thought, especially those that walk across many fields in media.
Yeah, it's not fair. It's not fair that we only get one lifetime to explore all the fun
Right.
that we can play with. Yeah, you know, speaking of getting singled out or chosen in high school, also junior year, I was chosen to be the anchor for the morning news
Oh, wow. Okay.
for senior year. And similarly, I think, you know, following up, following through, the narrator voice coming through, like all that kind of stuff. Um, I got really, oh my gosh, it was so much fun. It was so much fun because they let us do these like PSAs.
Hmm.
And we started to get really creative because, you know, like, let's just make this totally wacky. Like one of the PSAs was a Power Ranger battling a velociraptor in an
Okay.
alleyway downtown. And I was the Power Ranger, you know, like I would just like full on because I'm like, oh, no one's gonna know it's me. I just can do whatever I want.
Yeah.
And God, it was so much fun. But all of those experiences, by the time I was graduating, I kind of thought that I would be really suited for like public broadcasting for news.
Okay.
Yeah, which is not that creative. But it kind of hit a lot of the marks because I wanted to travel. I wanted to um, get out there and see what the truth of the world is about, like really dig in and see what this world is made of. And I
Yeah.
thought, you know, journalism would be kind of the perfect vehicle for this because then I would have permission to ask people questions, permission to go to places that usually I wouldn't be allowed into.
Right.
Um, and then maybe some of the freedom to like, you know, make some fun stuff and creative stuff too. But at the
Yeah.
time, it was more important to me to understand the world than it was to like to be an artist.
Okay.
For those first couple of years of college, it was more important to me.
Got you. And where did you go off to?
And God, nowhere really. Europe. I went over to Europe. I went to California, went to Central America, Costa Rica, New York. Where else
So
did
did you take like semesters off to travel abroad, or did you not go to college at all?
I took, I did a bunch of internships that gave me the freedom so I would get college credit and then I would choose online classes that semester
Oh, okay.
and
Cool.
then be somewhere else and study at the same time. So that
Got
was
you.
living in LA and then I lived in New York for a semester. Um, didn't get any investigative journalism done, by the way. I just played. I just had so much fun. Like, I would say like nothing creative or professional was done. It was just play.
You were investigating life and all of the different countries and what the differences were in those countries versus America. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, do I want to live here? Could I see myself like rooting here? And um, if so, what would I do? Um, halfway through college, I got in a car accident actually when I was working on that film for a
Oh, wow.
weekend.
Uh-huh.
And kind of waking up out of it, like, you know, I had a concussion and it's because I had a full-time job. I was a full-time student and then I was interning on that movie. Like I was sleeping for 3 hours a night. So I
Right.
ended up falling asleep at the
Wow.
wheel
Holy cow.
and kind of coming out of that and like feeling fragile, feeling, you know, how fleeting our time here is and just wanting to make something meaningful of my life. I
Hmm.
started to ask deeper questions and coming from the Christian background, when I think about, you know, Jesus would talk about your gifts and what makes you special, what makes you different. just lying in bed recovering from this. I broke my arm and had to have my like a big surgery and got a steel plate in there now.
Mm,
And I was laying in bed recovering from that. And what kind of settled was that I didn't know what I would be making, but I
uh,
sort of that day decided that I would become an artist and that would be my
okay.
life's purpose, that I would push forward with that and commit to it and join the suffering multitudes of artists before me.
Jump into that suffering art world. So after, as you're coming out of that, then, what is the thing that you decide you're going to step into and commit to first off?
First, while I was looking around me, I was still in Jacksonville. So I was like, oh, fuck, what can I do?
Yeah.
The first and easiest place I jumped to was writing.
Okay.
And I thought, okay, I'm going to write a book and I'm going to illustrate it. And I'm going to see where that goes. And in the meantime, maybe I can get back into acting. So I started just seeing what was in Jacksonville. So at home, I was writing and then I would go out and there were no auditions. So this is when I started to actually get into modeling more.
Okay.
I got an agent. I just wanted to be in front of the camera and just see what that was and see which one was going to be the strongest, what was going to take off, what was going to lead me somewhere.
Yeah.
And God, if I were to talk to that version of myself now, it'd be like, I still don't have the answer. Um, what I found was that it's possible to do everything that you love, but not at the same time. You take it in seasons and
Yeah.
projects.
Yeah.
And I found that to be true across the board. Um, the book that I wrote was a book of short stories, and it
Okay.
drove me crazy trying to write this thing. Fantasy. Uh, it's the story of a woman who loses her memory and remembers what happened to her through dreams. So the whole thing is fantastic and
Right. Right.
bizarre, and it's a love story, and also like the story of becoming an artist. It's her story of becoming an artist as well.
Yeah.
And I'm really, really glad I wrote it. Even though it wasn't, I still don't think many people even got to read it. I got published, but it was by this tiny, tiny publisher.
Okay.
And I still have hundreds of copies. So
Is it available online?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. It is called Nightbook.
Night book?
Yep, Nightbook. One
All
word.
right. Very cool. As you got through that and realizing that it was a bit of a struggle for you in terms of trying to get it finished off, did you finish it and think, all right, I've done that. Now I think I want to step into something else? Or were you already doing the modeling enough to where you realized I finished this. Now I can go back over here and just focus a little bit more on the modeling stuff.
During the writing of Nightbook, I moved to LA.
Okay.
So by the time I got there, with my agent, I was doing both simultaneously. So one didn't really affect the other. I was hoping to be honest, and I think this is what most people think when they finish a big project, like their first, you know,
Yeah.
that this is something that's going to just like fly off the shelves or like it's going to change your life and now everything will be different. And that was not what happened. Like I was now respected by my artist community and I was
Mhm.
welcomed in and people wanted to work with me and like so much respect was given my direction. But the work itself was never recognized. And I've long since, given up on that or having the need for it to be. Um, but that was a hard lesson to learn as an artist.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, there's actually been many, many, many times that's happened now where I've completed a project and it's like, oh, okay, well, now that's done. Now what? Yeah.
Yeah, I think many of us do that, honestly.
Yeah,
We
even if now recognition comes with it.
yeah,
Now, winning awards at a film festival for something I directed, or getting a book into curriculum in colleges. That's something that I've done now too.
yeah,
And or even I just walked London Fashion Week 2 months ago.
yeah,
And now that feeling of like, oh, now I've made it, or like this is gonna be it, is not relevant at all anymore. It's like not even a thing. It's not even a thing. You're just like you just say thank you for the amazing experience and thank you for the opportunity to be able to express myself and share it with other people. That is what it is now. And I think that's
right.
actually what it's meant to be, what it was intended to be, was like just having a shared experience and being able to tell your ego like, hey, it's okay. You did it actually.
Yeah, yeah. There's always something other than the fame of it a lot of times that you realize the more and more that you do. Um, a lot of times it doesn't always sit within us that that's the thing that brings the most joy. It may bring a joy in the moment, but it potentially is still a little bit of turmoil within inside of us trying to tap into the thing that's really going to light us up in terms of what we want to do for the world, to
Yeah.
help the world, all those kinds of things.
Yeah.
Did you have a sense of that from kind of those early starts of being a creative that you realized that it, accomplishing the project didn't always fulfill that internal quest that was going on inside?
No, when I was young, I was so naive.
Okay.
I was, yeah. Like parts of the higher calling were recognized, like that art could be used as a tool to tap into the soul and create emotions that activate change in people and in society.
Yeah.
That I understood. But as the personal experience of someone making the art and the expectation of what comes with it, that was a harder lesson for me to learn because I'm a little bit, oh, I, especially when I was younger, was much more of a controlling kind of person. And I needed this specific outcome. And if it wasn't that outcome, then then I would like fall into a depression, like, oh, why? You
Yeah.
know, and I think that's is immaturity and ego. Like it's totally the ego being the number one person in charge.
Right.
And over time, it's actually been really these have been really good lessons for me. Um, Personally, I'm grateful for all of the fails
Yeah.
that I've had because not only has it made the art better, but it's made the experience more meaningful. Just
Yeah,
being
for
there,
sure.
being there in the space with the art has become why I do it.
Yeah, I get it. I get it. Definitely. Yeah, the younger years are definitely the years of thinking an outcome needs to be the ultimate thing. Um, and we absolutely get defeated when it doesn't work the way we want it to work. But ultimately, I guess those are the things that allow us to learn that that wasn't the right thing anyways. It was just an experience that we were able to have and got to participate in or create in. Um, when you are in LA, that's a completely different environment than Florida and Jacksonville. What was that like in terms of uh, culture shock, maybe, and or the possibilities of what could be when you got there?
Wow, yeah. When I arrived to LA, I was once again like the homeschool kid in public school. You
Yeah,
know, I went back into quiet observational mode and kind of try to get my bearings on what this city was like and what the heartbeat of the culture was. And I actually, a lot of people find LA to be, shallow. And eh, I think that that's just the surface level. I met a lot of deep, beautiful people when I was there and I personally had a very rich experience. So I think that's something that's a bit of a myth, and it is a reflection more of who you are, um,
right.
and
Yeah.
who you're attracting and cultivating.
Hmm.
Um, but it was hard. Uh, there was just I had FOMO every single day because there was something cool happening everywhere,
Yeah.
and I also didn't know how to get into the places that I wanted to get into, like these cool inner circles. How do I even meet these people? I got really like quick fingered on Facebook because I could meet new people and just be like, oh hey, you're a director. Oh hey, you're an artist. Like where do you hang out? And I
Yeah.
would reach out to people. Um, zero, I have zero qualms about that. Like I've literally met some of the most amazing people in the world from direct messaging. And and I found it to be pretty crazy and overwhelming too with celebrity culture and um I found that celebrities liked me and would like want me around or like I would
Yeah.
get sort of like picked out. I think it was probably because they're like, she walks the beat of a very different drum. uh what's up with this chick?
Right.
And I had, yeah, I mean it was really really cool, really cool. And then also while I was there, um trying to figure out what's next because I came out with the book and then I also wrote another book after that.
Okay.
And but all of this I was doing mostly on my own, and I couldn't get any literary agent's attention. I couldn't get any real publishing house's attention. And I kept writing stuff and sending it and writing and sending it or painting it and applying and painting it and applying, and like just it was exhausting how much I was getting turned down. Oh, also, I mean, doing commercial modeling and acting is another, uh, you know, place where you get to calm your ego when you're
Exactly.
constantly. I mean, where you're like, wow, I didn't think I did that bad of a job. And then the next thing you know, you book a Super Bowl commercial, and you're just
Yeah.
you just don't know what's gonna land and what's not. You just kind of keep as a creative, you just keep showing up, keep trying.
Yeah. Yeah. That whole environment of doing the modeling, trying to do the acting as well, getting booked. It's a constant uh, mill of no's over and over until you get a yes, or a yes comes out of nowhere and you're not even realizing, like you're saying, you get a Super Bowl commercial, right? It's like you probably didn't apply for that. You might have got that just out of somebody checking over your headshots and stuff like that.
Yeah, I got invited by a friend
Yeah.
to come to a casting in a parking lot
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
she took a video up against a literally the parking lot wall. And all I did was turn around in a circle and say my name, and that's how I got the job. Like,
Yeah, that's those are the things where it's so mind-boggling in terms of what somebody's looking for and what you have. A lot of times it's just preference. I know when I was doing fashion shows and producing them and hiring the models and stuff like that, a lot of times it would be initially based off of the headshot. And then once I saw them or saw them walk, it was an instantaneous, oh, yeah, definitely. I want to work with that one. You just, there's just little cues that you get from that process to where you're like, yes, I need to work with that person. I need to work with that person. I need to work with this person, you know. And also too, when you have that vision in your head of what kind of garments that you're going to be putting out, then you have this idea of what that person needs to look like, what the height needs to be, what the shape needs to be, all of those different things. So it's definitely uh, for the model, for the actress, for the actor. It's always a scenario of you putting yourself out there, and getting rejections, getting told no's, getting told not this time, that kind of stuff. And it's it's not always in the casting director's mindset of what that can potentially do. Or a lot of times they don't even give you information. They just send you back out the door. If you get a call, you get a call. If not, then you basically just assume you didn't get the opportunity.
you could kind of tell if you're in there with the right, if with the casting director, you can tell if you've
Yeah.
booked. You walk out of there and you're expecting a call. You're like, yeah, if it's going to be me or it's going to be one of someone else, but it might be me this time.
Right. Right.
Even on Zoom calls, because I'm in Mexico and I still do auditions. And
Cool.
yeah, and I love it. But I can see on their face the second that they're like, yes, it's her.
Right. Yeah.
Yes.
Very cool. Very cool. So as you're stepping in and working these different avenues of creativity, modeling, movies, um, acting, also writing the books, trying to get another one out, get it published. When do you start looking at fashion as the avenue that you feel like you want to start moving in with a little bit more purpose?
Um, I got like a wild hair one day. I was gonna go on a trip to Thailand and I was looking through my wardrobe for things to wear and I didn't see anything that I wanted to wear on this trip. And I'm like shopping online and I had just had this whole vision, but I couldn't find what I wanted to, I couldn't find it. So I ended up borrowing a sewing machine, going fabric shopping, and sewing an entire collection for this trip. And I've never even imagined doing this. Like, why did I do this? I don't know. I just woke up one day and I was like, I want to look like this right now, and I don't see it, so I'm just gonna make it.
Right?
And and that experience gave me so much confidence because everywhere I went, they're like, people were commenting, wow, this is really cool. Where did you get this? Like, oh, you made it? Are you kidding me? Like, what?
Yeah.
The response was incredible. And then when I was living in Los Feliz and doing my internet thing, working at castings, probably writing a script, who knows? That's sort of what I was doing at the time. I saw on a model casting website an open call for a reality TV show called
Okay.
America's It Girl. And I read the whole thing and I'm like, man, this thing's bogus. This looks like total trash TV. And like, okay, yeah, right. Um, And then a couple days passed, and I got a direct message from the casting department of this
Mm,
reality TV show and said, "Hey, we're doing a casting call here at this location." And I looked at the location, it was walking distance from my house. And it was in the middle of the daytime, and I was home, and I was like, oh, fuck. Maybe I should just walk in and just see what this thing is. I'll just see. And I'm texting my roommate, like, oh my God, I'm gonna go to the casting. She's like, you're gonna go to the casting? Oh my God, are you sure? I'm like, yeah, I'm just gonna go walk in. And I felt like at that time I did feel like this kind of snarky person. I walked in, sat down with the whole group of women, and we watched like a segment of Miss Congeniality. I mean, the whole presentation was bizarre. And the more I sat in there and listened to the producer, what he was pitching, he's like, oh, this is gonna be a TV show like no one's ever seen. It's a combination of pageantry meets Project Runway meets America's Next Top Model. And we're going to put you through a bunch of different competitions and challenges, and you're going to design a clothing collection. And I'm like, oh, that's interesting. You're going to design a clothing collection with a designer, and then you're going to walk it on the runway, and we're going to choose a winner.
okay.
And then we sat down and, one by one with this producer to meet them, and he would like kind of finalize the pitch, one on one. He looked at my modeling uh, catalog or whatever portfolio. He looked at my art. I mean, I brought everything with me. I did that at that time, which is kind of embarrassing to think about. But and he closed it and he's like, Courtney, I I don't want to get your hopes up, or like I actually really think that you could win this thing. I think that you might win this thing. I just want you to know, I think that you should definitely do this show.
Nice.
And I ended up signing. I was like, oh, he got me. Okay, fine, I'll do it. Like, I just kept thinking too, like, I've signed this thing. I can probably, if I don't feel good about how it's going on set, then I'll just walk out. You know what I mean? Like, I'll just leave.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, And then I told my friend, I texted her, I'm like, I'm gonna do it. Because it like literally she used to call herself a diamond in the rough. And on the
Mm,
brochure it said, we're looking for diamonds in the rough. And I took a picture of it and sent it to her. I'm like, it's you. You could do this too. She's like, oh my God. And so this show started. It was a 6 month experience of filming, and it helped me get my act together, because I realized that a lot of my art was just all over the place. It was just ideas, like this idea, this idea, this idea. Oh, this painting is about like baptism. This painting is about eternal return. This painting is literally just a tree and a bird. Like it just was, there was nothing that tied it all together. And all of a sudden I realized that I would be on a stage in front of a panel of judges explaining to
right.
them how my art had meaning, or how I should be, I was the right person to win this prize, which was the prize, by the way, was a scholarship to LA Film School,
Okay.
your own clothing line, and then also they're like cover of Maxim magazine, and then like a friggin' diamond tiara. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like it's just kind of a shit show. What is this? Like I'll sell the tiara, I'll buy a car, I don't know, just whatever. Um, and as the show kind of goes on, I started to come to realize how I could maybe tie this all together into something that would be bigger than me.
Right.
And doing the research of actually owning a clothing line and producing a clothing line,
Hmm.
I started looking into, the ethics of it. I started to look into toxicity of fabrics, how they're made, how they're thrown away. And then the more I learned, the more horrified I was about the state of the industry itself.
Yeah.
And I didn't feel I mean, I kind of felt the ick about stepping into working in the fashion industry as a designer.
Right.
Um, because is it even, at the time, I asked myself, is it even possible to make something affordable, clean, and um, beautiful at the same time? Does that exist? Is that possible?
Right.
And will they let me?
Yeah, exactly.
Will they
Exactly.
even let me?
Yeah.
So we put together, I worked with a designer, and we put together a collection and started a whole mission on sustainability in fashion. And that's sort of where that whole experience really put the focus on everything that I do in the arts kind of going forward. It there's so much room for change, and there's so much cool innovation happening too, that
Right.
I find it super inspiring to work in
Yeah.
this field, and also creatively like satisfying, because I know that when I make something, it's not just a new piece of art that's going on, you know, just an old polyester t-shirt. Like it's gonna be something that's better. Like I'm actually
Yeah.
doing something better for the environment and for people.
Yeah. While you're in this process of on being on this show, are is what's coming out of your head and the vision that's being created, is it jiving with the whole thing that's going on with the show itself? Or are you realizing that, wait a second, I'm completely counterculture to what this show is trying to portray?
Ah, um, I had a lot of drag on that
Yeah.
show.
Okay.
I did. I did. They wanted me to be someone that I'm really not. And that it goes all the way from personality. They were trying to get me to complain about my hairstyle. They were trying to get me to pick a fight with another contestant. Um,
Oh, geez.
there was all sorts of just shenanigans and tomfoolery that weren't real. And even the producer would say, Courtney, we can't make a good TV show if you're not going to do something. Like, do something. I'm like, I am doing something. I'm doing something cool. Like, oh
Right.
no, like it's not. I joined this reality TV show for the TV show part of it, not for the reality part of it. Like, I'm
Yeah.
just, this. I don't even watch reality TV, so that's the thing. I'm like, why am I here? Kept coming through my head, but
Yeah.
I stayed with it. And when I did my presentation, I stayed true to that.
Good for you.
And that was really important to me.
Yeah.
Um, and the clothes were really cool too, actually. That we made some really awesome runway clothes that just were showstoppers. I mean, we looked around and we're like, oh man, we're gonna win this. Like we're winning this. Holy shit. We're
Yeah.
winning. We're gonna win this. Um, yeah.
And you did ultimately.
Yep, I did.
After that takes place, how did that affect you in terms of, was it a uh, kind of like a nitrous oxide boost if you were thinking about dragsters? Did it literally set you on a trajectory fast forwarding, or was it like, okay, it's done, it's over, I won, and then what happens next?
So I had one euphoric weekend, okay,
Yeah.
where I secretly knew that I won this show, and I'm just thinking money in the bank and all these like, amazing things are going to happen, and it's going to be on TV. It's going to be like when I was 16 and that MTV thing came out, and
Right,
like
right.
all of a sudden what I was doing was important, but now I have something important. Um, Literally walking around like I had this great secret, just air in my shoes. The feeling was just, yeah, it was euphoric. Um, and then, waiting before the prize to kind of like firm up, and now we can't get a hold of the producer.
Oh, geez.
Now, yeah, now the Maxim magazine is turned into I don't know, the LA local something. And the LA Film School has turned into Santa Fe School of College, online
Oh,
school.
geez.
And the tiara is actually David Tutera costume jewelry. And so little by little, all of the things that were the prizes are now turning into total junk. Like I have a bachelor's degree. Why am I going to go back for an online associate's degree? Like this is a waste of my time. What
Right.
is this?
Yeah.
And then finally, the last one was, oh yeah, we don't have funds for you to make a clothing line. So
Oh my gosh.
yeah, and they got away with it because they didn't air the final episode of the show. And in the contract, they said your prizes will be delivered upon the airing of the final episode. And they just didn't air it.
Oh
And
man.
it was like when it's like when my first book came out, where like I felt that something was going to happen, but nothing happened. It was just this life experience that informed me, enriched me, pointed me in the right direction, but ultimately was something that it was a solo experience. It wasn't
Yeah.
an us experience. It was a me experience, which was not what I set out to do.
Yeah.
Um, but what it did though, and it changed my life forever, was introduce me into sustainable fashion.
Okay. Okay. How did that's a huge, huge letdown
Yeah.
from what you're anticipating, right? And it's a huge platform because it feels like it's a big thing while you're in it, while you're filming it, while you're shooting it, right? Every day, the whole process of going through it. You said you had a euphoric weekend of realizing I'm going to win this thing. It's going to be fantastic. Then the letdown happens. How does that affect the mentality at that point in time of realizing, oh my gosh, this was all just fool's gold?
I chalked it up to just having one of the most LA experiences of all time. You know?
Classic. Classic. Yes.
Yeah. Uh, I'll be honest, the letdown wasn't nearly as bad as you might imagine.
Okay.
Um,
Good.
it wasn't that bad. Actually, the euphoria was higher than the letdown was low.
Nice.
Yeah.
Much nice.
Yeah. Yeah, it wasn't that bad. In part because like it did kind of seem too good to be true to begin with, so a part of me never really believed in it.
All right.
Uh, but trust me, like I there yeah, it was just like what like I know exactly who not to work with now. Like I can read the room, which is great.
Yeah.
So I don't waste my time ever again.
Hmm.
But there was so much momentum coming off of it though, because it's like I said, I had this new mission and I also grabbed an investor to start my own clothing company. So it's
Cool.
not like it sort of just continued to roll into something else that I actually had a lot more control over. I feel like if America's It Girl had been in charge of my clothing line, there's no way it would have been sustainable. And also they probably would have taken like 80% of the profits or something ridiculous,
Yeah.
you know? And then
Yeah.
would be stuck with them forever. I saw one of the most ridiculous contracts come through one time, and it was for talent. It was a talent contract. Somebody wanted me to be in a girls' band. Okay, he was putting together a girls' band, and I was going to be one of the singers. And the contract was by United Talents International, UTI. Okay,
Gosh.
UTI, and
Oh,
and I opened up this contract And I'm with my buddy, and I was like, come read through this with me. And she's like, oh my God. So it's like you sign over your intellectual property rights from now until the hereafter to UTI. Any percentage of income that you get from any book that you write, any film that you're in, any clothing line that you're a part of, anything, you sign this over to UTI in perpetuity. Like it was ridiculous. So I've seen some nonsense. Okay.
The
And
nonsense was whoever created the name of that company.
just you missed that. It's like you don't have a single woman working for you, do you? Like, you know,
Hmm. Or
didn't
anybody
catch.
that knows branding. Jeez.
Yeah, she missed that one. Oh my God. Um, yeah, but anyway, it did roll into something much bigger, and that was about a decade ago, and since then I launched my own brand, and it's all sustainable, and it's doing three different things. So I am using the investigative journalism degree that I got.
Okay.
And so I have a podcast too. It's called Environmental Style Now.
Um,
And I get to interview, scientists and people creating fabrics and celebrities and whoever out there because sustainability in fashion touches everything. I mean, it's not just manufacturing, it's transportation, it's waste, water waste, water usage, plastics. I mean, you name it. And
Yeah.
and then I wrote a book called Refashion Workshop based off of those interviews that is now in a bunch of different design schools
Very
in
cool.
curriculum. So it's like I said, like that experience was a letdown in the physical world. Maybe we'll
Mhm.
say that the financial world, the physical world, but in the spiritual world, actually, it was just tightening me up. It was like saying, you're going, what are you doing with all your arts and your focus? You're all over the place. Let's just put you in one, we'll put all of these talents in one lane and one direction, and you're going to get what you're looking for, which
Yeah.
ultimately is using art to make a better world.
Yeah. That's amazing. That's amazing. The opportunity to get the investor, was that somebody who was kind of watching from outside and happened to see potential opportunity, or how did that come about for you?
Yeah, and to be honest, that was a short-lived thing too.
Oh,
Um,
okay. So it didn't
yeah,
it
I
didn't
ended
turn into
up.
what you got now.
It was one season. We worked
Okay.
together for a season,
All
and
right.
then we decided that to go our separate ways. Again, I think it was just too much control. It's the
Mm,
thing, the people with the money
yes.
they get the power and the control, and um, I was just sent on all of these side quests that were driving me crazy. And I'm like, no more. I'm done with. I can't do this anymore. I can't do these side quests.
Yeah. Totally get it. Totally get it. So then the refashion workshop that came about after you started doing the podcast.
Yeah, it was actually the reason I did the podcast.
Okay.
I was already working on the book, and I just realized I was asking for interviews
Hmm.
from people, you know, doctors at Harvard, and the lab tech, the head of labs at Cornell, and a lot of just people that have very little time to give,
Yeah. Yeah.
and they never heard of me. They'd never heard of my project. They just didn't know, and I didn't have a publisher attached to it at the time. So they didn't, yeah, I guess they just didn't see the potential there.
Right. Right.
So when I had the idea to make it a podcast, at least that's something everyone can relate to and knows what it is. And also it very quickly gets their opinion and their expertise out there,
Right.
while at the same time getting me those quick paragraphs of knowledge that I need for my book.
Yeah.
And that was in the pitch. Like, by the way, I'm going to take some segments from this, and with your approval, publish it in my book. And so that's what I did. Was I would literally take out a majority of the conversation and just keep the kind of the nuggets, and
Hmm.
then email that to them and get their approval. Everyone said yes, not one person said no.
Nice.
And yeah, that was the method.
Very cool. And then at what point do you tap into the publishing company? Was that immediately, or did you have to shop it around? Or did you already have somebody in mind that you went ahead and went out to and said, hey, this is what I've got. This is how it looks.
I think that still, yeah, it's so interesting to be a writer with no one paying attention to your writing. Still at this point, like I had written my first book when I was 21
Hmm.
and still couldn't get a publisher at 33. And I just kept writing. I finished the whole book at that point because I was like, well, you know what? I'm just going to finish this and have a complete project to hand over. And I probably sent it to 200 publishers that all said no. And
What?
yeah, I shopped
Holy,
it and shopped it and shopped it. And it's a catch 22. If you it's like, yeah, it's like anything in the arts. Like you're not in until you're in, but they won't
right.
let you in if you're not in.
Yeah.
Getting through that first door. And that's what I told some of the celebrities that were in my book. Because they're like, and I was like, hey, what I really want is someone to open this door for me. I'm really struggling to get this project through, and I
Yeah.
just need your help to help get it there.
Right.
And when you're really that direct with people, because at that point, like my ego was gone. I had no ego left to work with. Like,
Sure. I can imagine.
as many close, close call or like making so much art that, um, and then when knowing when something is valuable, like at this point, like I said, like Nightbook, my first book was an experiment. All of this has just been an experiment after experiment after experiment until finally Refashion Workshop is a good book. And so is The Royal Robe, which I'm gonna have to tell you about that one. Um, these, when I finished these and I put them down and I said, oh my God, this is valuable. This is something. I
Yeah.
know it. I know it. I just need the right person to see it too and help me get it there.
Right.
Uh, it's
So
actual.
let's
It's actualized. Yeah.
let's jump into the Royal Robe because you lit up literally when you said that. Tell me about
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. The royal robe. The royal robe. Um, so when I started holding court, my clothing company,
which is
I
genius, by the way.
thank you. It's three things. It's information on sustainability and fashion. It's the clothing itself, sustainable clothes, and then it's storytelling
Okay.
in the world of sustainable fashion.
Love
So
it.
uh, a project that I started on, right? They all started at the same time. So, like I said, it's hard because you're doing three very different things all at the same time. But after Refashion Workshop came out this year, I took the Royal Robe, which is a children's story, and it's a poem, and it's an environmental allegory that takes place in a world kind of like our own, but it sort of feels like feudal Europe meets feudal China, but
Okay.
in an interesting, like now kind of place. Like there are buildings made out of steel and glass, and there's ancient ruins, and everyone works in the fashion industry.
Nice.
But in this world, the king has died of a mysterious illness, and his daughter is going to become the queen. And she's terrified to take on this responsibility. She doesn't believe she's ready for it. And she ends up asking advice from her very good friend, who's a traveling bard. And he sings her this poem, right? But she hears it incorrectly and decides she's going to put off her coronation by creating a quest. And the quest is for the royal robe. So anyone who can create her or find her the most perfect coronation robe will have a lifetime of prosperity and she will become the queen. But not
Hmm.
until then. Not until then.
Right.
And mind you, she probably has no desire to actually do this. So she can put this off indefinitely if she wants. But the story is picked up by a 13-year-old girl and she takes up the quest. And as she goes to the different places where clothing's made, um, polyester, leather, where the dyes come out of the dyeing factory, she goes to each place and says, oh, she looks at the trees that are just dead and the land that's fallow and the
Right.
people that are sick. And she says, a queen would not wear this. Everywhere she goes, she says, a queen wouldn't wear this. And so she also ends up discovering that the factory that makes the dyes are causing an illness in the water, and that's what killed the king. So there's just all of these, tie-ins of toxicity, and
Yeah.
ultimately, it's this quest that is, an environmental fable. And uh, over the summer, I started pitching it to filmmakers,
Okay. Any
and
traction?
yeah, I got one. I've
Nice.
signed up with a production studio to make it into an animation.
Very cool.
Yeah, so back
Eh,
into film.
Right. Full circle moment. That's amazing. That's amazing. Wonderful story as well. Just the concept of it. I understand a bit of that from the perspective of my mom's sister, my aunt. Um, she graduated with a master's degree from the University of Tennessee in industrial engineering, and she ended up working for Levi's. So when she was alive, she had to go around to all of the plants that were producing in Tennessee and throughout that region and had to tell everybody that we're closing everything down. We've got to move it to Mexico. So, and that tore her heart out when she had to tell, all those workers that were here in the States that they're going to have to shift and move uh, and lose their jobs because production was going out to somewhere else.
Wow.
Um, my mom, early on in her working career, she worked for a company in Tennessee as well. It's called American Inca Corporation. And they put together and created the rolls of thread that everybody uses. So it would go through, the cotton would go through, she would have to assess whether or not it was workable or if there were flaws in it, she'd have to pull it, all that kind of stuff. And then it would go into the dyeing processes. And then the dyeing processes at that point in time where there was no real regulations in place. So the results of that were seen pretty quickly in terms of the next few years of what was going to take place in terms of toxicities getting into the
Mhm.
soils and all that kind of stuff. So I have an understanding of what that does to our world and our planet in and of itself. And the fact that you're taking that and turning it into a story where it's recrafting the operations of that into something that's going to be phenomenal and have the opportunity to even do it into an animated series, which allows a younger generation potentially, if that's going to be the target market, allows them to learn early on, hey, these things aren't all for the betterment of this world. But if we look at it from this perspective, then we can start making that shift and that change to do something better, to make things beautiful all the way around, not just what we wear, but the world around us. And I think that's amazing.
What a cool experience with your aunt, too,
Yeah. Yeah.
to be able to learn about that firsthand.
Yeah. And after that, once she finished that up, she couldn't work with them anymore. She went on to work for the sports sack, which was little bit better in terms of what she was having to deal with in terms of the environmental standpoint, and the processes. But yeah, it was definitely a learning thing for me for sure. And it was interesting. I always remember this about her growing up was that every time we would be down there and I'd be, laying on the floor or something drawing just because that was the most comfortable place for me to just lay down and draw. Um, she would always look at what I was creating. She'd be like, now remember, while you're drawing that and you're designing that, there's somebody else going to have to make it for you. So make sure that you keep it as simple as possible in terms of the main structure so that it's not difficult for someone else to produce it and can mass produce it.
Mm.
So I've always remembered that, those words of wisdom coming from her. Um, and still to this day, I have that as part of my thought process of as much as I love ornate things that have all kinds of, extras added onto them, different attachments and all that kind of stuff. I always try to remember, all right, it can have these things, but we've got to make sure it's simplified enough so that it can be produced over and over. And ultimately within a timely fashion so that it's not, you know, $20,000 for just a handbag because it took forever to produce it. So I totally understand that perspective of things and sustainability and how production becomes a troublesome thing many times when you're putting something together for a line of to put out there in the world.
Yeah.
With this refashion workshop book being in design schools and being in the hands of students that are coming out for the next generation, is there a future vision of how you want to potentially expand on that? Or has it consolidated into what it needs to be for the season that it has?
Well, of course, there's always room to write a second edition because even as even a month after I turned it in, I learned so much more. There's just the rules are constantly changing, regulations are changing,
Yeah.
tariffs are upsetting the whole supply chain of the industry too.
Yeah.
So with the writing alone, there's of course room for a second edition or another edition. I've also been, there, yeah, people have, you never know. You just, I've had some people come to me and offer to make a documentary series. Hey, do you want to go abroad and see these things firsthand? Um, at the moment, I need to write a script. So
Mm.
I'm gonna, like I said, everything kind of has its season because I'm only one person. And
Right.
um, that's why my clothing line, I only put out one new collection a year.
Okay.
And, in the meantime, I'm working on writing. So it would be really cool to do like a documentary series, of course.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
following up when I'm done with the writing and if, that team's still interested. I don't know. It's kind of up to at this point, like what sticks and what lands. I'm really at this point in my like artistic career, I'm so much more open to trusting someone else's vision if someone wants to come in and take that on.
Okay.
Because I can only lead in so many directions.
Right.
And um, that's why I'm so happy to have an actual production company making the Royal Robe. I was going to take a crack at it, and try to produce it myself, but I'm so glad I don't have to do
Yeah.
that. Oh my God.
For
What a,
sure.
what a relief. What a relief.
Definitely. Definitely. So one of the things that I've been very curious about throughout your whole story is what is your astrological sign?
I'm a Libra.
Libra. Okay.
Yeah, Libra, Aries moon, Scorpio rising. I think that's what it is. Yeah.
Okay. All right. All right. I'm just trying to figure out and place how that the travel, that freeness and willingness to travel to all of these different places as you have, how that plays into you as the person. Um, I see some of that now from your astrological sign in terms of how you move and operate. That makes a little bit more sense from that perspective. Um, is there an eternal quest that's inside of you that it keeps you on this move into different places in different regions of the world?
If I could say it in words, I would, but it's just something that's in me.
Yeah, makes sense.
And I have a very hard time staying in one place for longer than 6 weeks to 3 months. At 3 months, I have to go somewhere.
Yeah,
Even if it's just to spend like a weekend in another city or just stay the night at a friend's house. I mean, even when I lived in LA, I was gone every other weekend. I would drive off on a road trip. I would go to the Sequoias or go to Arizona or go across the border to Baja. Um, I don't know. I've got like a wheel turning in me.
yeah, yeah. Did is and again, I'm going to draw all the way back to you being a kid. Is any of that from what it was like being homeschooled and kind of confined into this bubble of what your parents were trying to keep you guys in, keep you protected, obviously, but also keep you a little bit constrained? Because again, different points throughout the conversation, you light up about certain things. One of those was for sure when you started talking about your aunt and going to her house. And I see that as something that's truly an internal experience. It's close to your heart, so it lights you up. Is some of this travel, this need to move, is some of that based off of the fact that you didn't always get that at home and as a kid, potentially?
Maybe. Even as a kid, I was constantly pushing the boundaries of where I was allowed to be. Like
Okay, yeah,
that was the main problem that people had with me. It was like I would come over and stay the night, and or someone would come over and stay the night in my house, and then we would stay up all night doing something creative, and then we would sneak out and try to get into the neighborhood pool next door,
yeah,
or you know what I mean, like
yep,
yeah, the neighbor's pool, the let's go like get in the elevator at the condominium across the ditch and over the wall, and like let's try to get into the community center and play tennis. And I was always just pushing that boundary. And um, yeah, I got all of my friends in trouble for that reason, and not that reason alone, but it could be that being still, that I couldn't be still,
yeah,
and that having before I was even aware of the ability to jump a fence, I was like a voracious reader. I read I feel like I read every single book. I mean, I was given an award by the governor when I was in like sixth grade for reading the most books in the state of Florida. I just read and consumed
oh
and consumed
wow,
because I wanted to be somewhere. I just wanted to be somewhere. Wanted to
yeah,
be in an adventure. I wanted to be, you know, with Huckleberry Finn on the river. Like I wanted to be, or you know what I mean?
yeah,
I wanted that life.
right,
And I didn't know how to get it because I was in a backyard.
Right.
in suburban Florida.
For sure. With that in a contrast, potentially, do you find a calm that takes place when you're doing your creative work, whether it's painting or whether it's creating a piece of fashion or you're writing? Do you slip into a calm state at that point? Or is it still this need for adventure, this need to explore, this need to move?
Depends on what phase it's in. I mean, sometimes it can feel meditative
Okay.
in the early phases when
Yeah.
I'm like locking into an idea, locking into a look, locking into what the story is. That's very meditative. When
Hmm.
I start the painting and I start the writing, it's actually very spasmodic. Like I don't like people to see me when I'm in the creative phase because I look like a mad scientist. Like I don't look elegant or cool or like, I'll be the one that's hunched on their computer at a bar. Or like I will sometimes go out and work, but not somewhere that anyone knows me
Right.
except for as this person. Like I would go to a bar in LA when I wrote The Royal Robe and I would sit in the corner and just like write stuff down, get upset, like, play some music and like just very, yeah, no, I'm very, very sporadic when I am in that like physical part of creating. But any idea part is a meditation.
Mm.
It's like sitting under the sun and like just listening or going on a
Yeah.
walk and just listening and just like I feel like the ideas just come from the sky. They're just falling. I just like there comes the idea. There's the idea. Now I got to
Right.
go make it in the lab.
Yeah. Yeah. I get it. I totally get it. There's a different shift in energy um, once you really get into the processes that can seem to others as chaotic. But for us as creatives, it's just the process. It's the flow. It's how things are moving. And if it's back and forth between two or three different things at one time, that may seem like chaos to other people or someone outside who may not understand what we're doing. But for us, it's just part of the process. It's how the brain is navigating all of the parts and all of the pieces that need to be put together for the final idea. Um, so yeah, from my perspective, I wouldn't be like, she's out of her mind. I'd just be like, oh, she's in it. She's in it now.
Yeah, I just remember when I was writing my that book, Night Book, I was living at my parents' house and my dad came, he walked by my room and he looked at me and he was like, "Are you okay?" And I like looked back, I'm like, "What do you mean? What do you mean? Am I okay?" But I
Yeah,
think that I had been like just like making a big mess in my room on purpose because I wanted to see chaos around me.
right.
I couldn't see with everything being so orderly, so I started making a mess. And
Hmm.
that was helping me with the writing for some reason. It was helping with the process. And it's just like, what are you doing?
Yeah, I get it. I totally get it. A lot of times when I've got a project going, I've got sticky notes everywhere with just little ideas written down on them because I may be focused on one thing, but the idea for another two or three steps down the road, I just need to make that quick note because it's in my head. And if I don't, I may lose it. And by the time I get to that step, it may be like, wait, where was this supposed to go?
Yeah, the bubble of the pureness of whatever that is fleeting.
Yes.
It's fleeting. And if you feel it, I feel like that is your obligation as an artist to walk away and write that down or do what you need to do with that information. I've also been in places like sitting with friends at a bar and all of a sudden like I'm like, oh, I think I'm about to have like like I'm having an idea, but I don't know what it is yet.
Yeah.
I gotta walk outside for a second. They're like, what? I'm like, yeah, give me a second. I need I'll be right back. If
Yeah.
I was a smoker, I would just say like, oh, I need a smoke break or something. That's like the more
Right.
like cool way to, I think, disappear.
Yeah.
But not that smoking is cool, but just to have a good reason. But nope, nope, I'm just having an epiphany. I'll be back. What?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Do you find the way that you think about those things now, um, in terms of those direct downloads from the sky, the epiphanies, do you see those as a different form of quote unquote spirituality versus what you were raised in your younger years?
I think it's actually an extension of what I was taught in my younger years that
Okay.
wasn't explained very well. Maybe
Yes. Yes.
the
Yes.
people that had them. I think, yeah, maybe the spiritual texts would have helped if they described what that sensation was like for them. But it does feel like it's coming from the sky. It's not like a voice from the sky, like Courtney, you must do this. It's really just this kind of thought that starts to like, it's almost like pieces of information joining in your mind that just say, oh, click.
Yeah.
That's something that is important that you need to use and work with. And the feeling is succinct. I mean, you know when it's an idea.
Yeah.
Like it hits you. And I don't know what it's like for other people that aren't creatives who don't get to experience that. I wish that they could, or maybe they do and they just aren't aware of it, maybe. But
Yeah. Yeah. I think that the easiest way to say it is that they're just not conscious of how it's coming. Some, and I know this is the case with a lot of musicians that I know. A lot of times they'll get an idea and inspiration and they'll just start working with it. And I might be sitting off to the side and I'm like, oh, that's coming from somewhere way different than what they're thinking of it is. And you can just tell that they're tapped into that spark, but they're not tapped into where it's coming from. They're just working. And that I think is the difference between what some may potentially end up struggling with over the course of their creative career is a lot of times that they have a misunderstanding of what that spark is or that information is that's coming through. And a lot of times that turns into the turmoil that becomes
mm,
the depressed states, that becomes the anxiety, that becomes the crippling effect that doesn't allow them to potentially finish something that they've started in because it becomes too much and they don't understand where it's coming from or how it's coming to them, different things like that.
there's definitely the unexpressed version of that becomes a lot of the darkness in this world, I think.
Yeah.
It is the perhaps our purpose, or not purpose, but the highest version of ourselves right now is our creativity and our ideas.
Yeah.
And um and if they get to be expressed and shared and put into the world of ideas, then it feels like a completion. But if it's withheld, a lot of people have self-doubt, say, oh, that was really dumb. No one's going to care about that.
Right.
Or they've been teased, or they have an abusive partner, or whatever. There's so many reasons how this can happen. It's just potential trapped inside your body, and it becomes this absolute
Right.
torture.
Yeah.
Like,
For sure. For sure. With what you've got going on now, what, other than the production that's taking place, what is the next big thing that you have envisioned that you have a goal set for that you want to try and accomplish?
Yeah, so a couple of things kind of flying around right now. We have a couple deadlines with the film and for
Mm.
writing it into a script because I have it as a poem, needs to be turned into a script. Already turning it into a script has changed the poem. So I'm realizing that it's going to be a complete rewrite of the first book, but also I have all of the bones of the outline of part two. And I feel it very, very much within the integrity of this story and the feel of it, because the writing itself is actually very dark. You may not understand that from the story itself, but the writing is there's a lot of grief in there because the queen's grieving her father, the
Yeah.
land is dying, and a lot of that comes out in the poetry. And the second part two is a whole different ball game because it's against the institutions.
Mm.
But it's for me to keep integrity with the vibe and the feeling of the first book to pull it into the second book
Right.
and make it feel like it's all one piece. It's going to be kind of challenging, I think, um, but it's going to be really fun, and
Yeah.
that's all kind of happening at the same time. The cover of this book is part of a project that's bringing awareness to ocean conservation.
Okay.
And the project is a little gold disc with 200 different artists have their art laser engraved on it.
Oh,
And
cool.
it's going onto a rocket ship to the moon over the summer
Oh, wow.
as a moon gallery.
Very cool.
So I want to have all the writing done and I want to have just, it'd be great to be able to like do a big announcement party for all this at the launch at Cape Canaveral. But I don't know, that'd be cool.
Right. For sure. Out into the universe and beyond.
Yeah, sky's not the limit anymore.
Exactly. Actually, that is a fantastic phrase for us to end this episode on. Uh, Definitely. One of the things that I always want to remind the artists and the creative community at the end of one of these episodes is to always listen to your heart, but also be kind to your mind.